Crush is located in downtown Anchorage. The owner, Lael Fairburn, was a James Beard semifinalist for Outstanding Restaurateur. So the menu is pretty eclectic. I would call it New American. I'm going to be ordering some local salmon, but I'm starting off with the crispy polenta. So that's a chicken breast which I had added to it, goat cheese, and then there's the crispy polenta, spinach, tomato. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this all mixes together. Okay, out of everything, all the ingredients on that dish, I enjoyed them all. But the one thing that stood out the most was the goat cheese. It was just kind of very smooth, the right amount. And I thought it went well with the chicken, which again, the chicken was an add-on. May to September is Copper River King salmon season in Alaska. So this is the salmon dish on the menu. It's a daily special. So this is Copper River King salmon. It's grilled and it's being served on, this is zucchini spaghetti. And then there's fingerling potatoes. That's a cauliflower puree, tomatoes. And then this is a tomato vinaigrette. And it's topped with, I believe those are smoked olives on top. Okay, so it's really cool to try this at the source. So compared to the sockeye that I had up in Fairbanks, this is definitely more buttery. It's a less intense flavor. It's grilled here. I know it's also ideal for baking, but this is really an essential experience if you're up here in Anchorage or Alaska, especially between May and September, to try the king salmon. I'm here with James Strong, and he's been running Caribou since 2014, I believe. Sweet Caribou.
Yeah, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. So I got a box of macarons here. I heard that this is the place to get them in Anchorage, and I'm going to be trying some of your flavors. So I don't know, what do you think? Should I try the lime?
That is my favorite one. That's our sour lime and raspberry.
Is this the one that before we started recording you referred to as like a sophisticated Sour Patch?
It's a sophisticated Sour Patch Kid, one of my favorite candies.
Okay, so these are like little sugar morsels on top. Is there literally a Sour Patch in here?
We put a tart curd in the center of it.
Okay, yeah, because like I tasted something gummy in it a little bit almost. All right, so I like the way the combination works. You also gave me yuzu and another flavor I've never seen called, is this root beer float?
That's our root beer float with vanilla bean.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is vanilla bean. Where does the root beer come in this one?
Well, it's inside of our ganache.
Okay.
So we use a white chocolate ganache on that one with the vanilla bean. There's vanilla bean in the shell.
I tasted more than I was expecting to.
Well, we like to call our macarons Alaska style.
Okay,
And
what does that mean?
For us, that means we use a lot of ganaches, and what it does is it allows us to bring out the flavors more. Sometimes you'll eat macarons and the flavors will be really subtle. It'll be hard to actually taste what it's supposed to be. But we like to call Alaska-sized flavor here.
Well, Alaska's a big state. I know there are no caribou this far south,
No.
but I will say I definitely tasted the root beer in this one. I tasted the lime sour patch in the previous one, so.
All right, we're doing our job then.
Okay, all right, well, thank you very much.
Absolutely, thanks for having me.
Okay. South is the second of the Lael Fairbarn restaurants that I'm trying on this trip to Anchorage. So I'm starting off with blueberry and burrata because I got a big seafood dish coming for dinner. And blueberries are a big thing in Alaska. I actually have a little thing of blueberry syrup, heading back to New York with it. For my entree here, I am gonna go with the Sopa del Mar. So if you take a closer look here, everything with an AK next to it indicates it has Alaska ingredients. So this is a Chiopino, and I had a really memorable one a couple weekends ago in Monterey, and I just wanted to have it again, especially with definitely local ingredients. So if you take a closer look here, I'm trying not to spill it. You got Alaskan salmon, you got pieces of cod, you also have shrimp, clams, there's little slices of baguette there, and it's like a tomato saffron broth. Okay, So the saffron tomato broth, it's got kind of a subtle taste to it. It's very light. And so in that sense, kind of the seafood, the clams, the shrimp, the scallops, and the cod, they're kind of like making the sauce in that way, adding a lot of flavor to it. So I couldn't leave Anchorage without going to a chocolate shop. So I'm at Chugach Chocolates. And what I'm doing here is a chocolate flight. So I'm gonna lean the camera down a little bit, and I got 3 different chocolates, 1, 2, 3. And what I'm gonna do here is make notes on each one. So this kind of gives you a bunch of parameters. And what you end up doing is putting a dot in each one. And then at the end, you're gonna end up with something like this. So another cool thing about this place is the chocolates are being made right behind me. So if you look, there's a lady very hard at work. I believe she's gonna be doing 790 of these. The sheet that she has about 790 of these. So for chocolate 1, I'm gonna put the dot right here. It's got a little bit of tartness. The second one was a little bit more earthy. I'm gonna put it right about here, and then I'm gonna try the last one. Okay, so the third one. The taste sort of lingers. I left it right about here. So that's it, a chocolate flight. They chose the options. I'm sure there was some sort of method as to why they did that, but this is a cool experience. Even if you don't wanna have anything here, they have a nice little selection on the wall. So I finally found Alaska's only food tour guide. So next to me is Mr. Dan Morris, who started this company, Alaskan Sights and Bites, with his brother last year, 2022. Do I have that right?
That's correct, but there is one other food tour company in Juneau, Juneau Food Tours with Mindy. She's great.
I met her. So earlier this year, I met her. Unfortunately, I'm not doing Juneau on this trip, but I just did the tour. We did 5 stops. I learned a lot about the local food scene. I got to try fish. What else did we do? Gelato, and I believe Russian dumplings and clam chowder. So I never heard of fireweed before. We're just gonna do like one little portion of the tour right now. These are fireweed donuts.
Yep.
And why are they pink?
The flowers that they make the glaze out of are pink or red colored. And so the Kobuk here makes these old-fashioned donuts that are absolutely fantastic. They win awards for them all the time.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, like right across the street is a whale. So can't see it that well, but it's a parking lot. And I'm gonna take a bite of one of these. Okay. It's crispy on the, not crispy, almost crispy on the outside. A little bit crunchy, but it's super soft inside. Have you been including these? Like, do you always stop at this place on your tour?
Yeah, so we actually do this on our morning tour and our afternoon tour in downtown. And then when I do the Spinard True Crime Tour, I actually bring these to my guests for the first snack they have on that tour.
So that's why it's Sights and Bites. You
Yep.
also do sights. All right, so for most people probably aren't going to visit Anchorage more than once. So if you're coming here once, can you just rattle off, I don't know, maybe 3 things you should eat when you're in Anchorage?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, I mean, you got to do the seafood.
Okay.
It's one of the things that Alaska's most known for. The other thing I would highly recommend is the reindeer sausages. Absolutely fantastic, a little bit unique to Alaska, and then also anything sourdough. Sourdough bread, sourdough pancakes, birch syrup on the pancakes, fantastic.
All right. Are these sourdough donuts?
So these are not. No, they're
Okay.
not.
All right. Well, thank you very much. If you're ever up here, Alaska Sights and Bites. How many days a week do you guys run?
We run our tours 4 days a week in downtown, or I'm sorry, 5 days a week in downtown and 4 days a week in Spinard.
And it's very walkable. You end where you start, I believe, and I highly recommend it. Thank you very much, Dan.
Thank you.
I'm at Altura, which is a restaurant by Chef Nathan Bentley. So he was a James Beard semi-finalist for Best Chef in the Northwest. Here's what the server brought out. This is a scallion butter topped with black sea salt, and this is sourdough bread that they make in-house. So the ciabatta bread is very airy. You could probably even tell from what I'm doing here. Take a look at it. And then the scallion butter, there is a little bit of a taste of scallion to it. And then the black sea salt definitely makes it, it kind of pushes it over the edge.
So these are fresh oysters from Jinhee Bay, Alaska, right outside of Prince of Wales Island. They're going to be served raw. We're adding a yuzu and plum wine foam over the top and a little micro shiso as well.
So the brininess is definitely the dominant flavor, but I love the way the foam kind of complemented the citrus in those. It's just very smooth, like a very clean flavor profile on those. And I also love how this foam here doesn't dissipate at all. These have been sitting here for a good 5 minutes, and they still look the same as when our server brought them.
So this is our hamachi collar. This is going to be a yellowtail tuna collar, marinated in a miso marinade for 48 hours and then charbroiled. We're serving that with a white miso aioli and a little julienne style cucumber and shallot that's been tossed with a rice wine vinegar and a little bit of chili oil.
So here it is. There is bone in it, so I had to like kind of take it off the bone. Okay. Definitely taste the miso. There's a high oil content to the point that even if you didn't marinate it in anything, I think you could probably eat it by itself. But I love the mix of flavors in this one.
So this is our sweet prawn bisque. This is a pride of Altura. This is a signature of Altura as well, our most popular thing on the entire menu. We use Alaska spot prawns to produce this bisque. Nice creamy bisque, a little bit of chili oil and basil oil over the top, and then we do a little caraway croutons over the soup as well.
Okay, so I do understand why this is one of the more popular things on the menu. I'll say that I do find it to be a little bit spicy with the chili oil, but I could also kind of tell there's basil oil in there. Then the shrimp, I believe the shrimp, they must be fresh. But then like sort of rye croutons, I'm not sure if I'm using the right word, but they kind of soak up the bisque, and I just really love this soup.
Alaskan black cod. All right, so this is our Alaskan black cod. Definitely a higher oil content than a lot of white fish, and not related to a classic Pacific cod either. We are roasting the black cod in the oven with a Calabrian chili butter. We're serving that over fregola, which is an Italian couscous, sautéed with a little shallot and fennel. It's being served with roasted morel mushrooms. Around the dish is a Nerano sauce. Nerano is, we take fried zucchini, we puree that with a little chicken stock, butter, and cream to create that sauce to surround the black cod. Here we have our house-made gnocchi. We make all of our gnocchi fresh in-house. This is a grana padano gnocchi. Grana padano is a young Parmesan that is folded into the dough. We are tossing that in a Tuscan kale ricotta cream sauce. We're adding a little crispy Parmesan over the top, and then gremolata as well, which is a mixture of lemon zest, garlic, and parsley.
So the black cod, it's like flaky. Yeah. It just comes apart, kind of just like, I don't know, like a piece of salmon would. You see what I'm doing right here? Okay, in the black cod dish, I've tried everything separately, and the cod, it's almost buttery. That's the only way I could describe it. Now the mushrooms, they're very earthy, but the zucchini puree is a really nice addition to the dish. It kind of complements the pasta nice, but the fish is really good. Just enjoying the Alaskan fish up here. Okay, so the gnocchi, it's made in-house. It is a little softer than what I'm used to. I believe it's made in like a kale pesto. So one thing that was interesting was the little Parmesan crisps that are on top of the dish. Here, check that out. So that kind of adds a little bit of sharpness to the dish. Okay, I've tried 5 different things, and I have to say, out of everything I've tried, the oysters were my favorite. The yuzu-plum wine foam that came on them, they really made a difference. After that, I'm going to say my second favorite was the soup, so the shrimp bisque. The shrimp were really fresh, you could tell, and I love the basil oil The chili oil was just enough for me to handle in terms of spice. And then after that, I would say number 3 would have been the black cod. I just, I have to admit I was expecting just like, Pacific cod, but it really was more like Chilean sea bass. The server was correct. And speaking of the server, what really made this place stand out, in addition to the food, was the fact that he knew the menu inside out. He explained everything to me. And that brings me to my number 4 favorite, which I would have to say that was the appetizer, which was the tuna crudo. That was good, especially on the outside. And then finally, I would say number 5 would be the gnocchi. So not a big kale person. I thought the Parmesan crisps were an interesting addition to it. So with all that said, thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe. I'm going to be spending a few more days here, heading down to Ketchikan. Got a trip to Las Vegas lined up. It'll be my first in 12 years. So I'm going to enjoy this well-presented. This is peach sorbet, white peach sorbet. This is also made in-house. And thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to sharing more videos with you in the future.